Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. This is the Mental Health Mondays Interviews edition, a podcast, typically a call-in show, where you guys can call in, discuss your struggles, your life triumphs, give advice of your own. But today's episode is a very special guest that we're sitting down with to discuss their story and their perspective on the mental health discussion, the world we live in. Of course, if you like what you hear, head on over to patreon.com/DyllonKG, where for a couple of dollars you can help keep the lights on, keep employees paid, and, support, get some extra goodies, walk away happy. Today we're sitting down with Austin O'Brien, aka AOB, on Twitter and Twitch. Austin, give us the story. Who are you? What do you do?
Oh, nothing. I actually have to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just do what everyone does when they introduce me to their friends. The most unfortunate thing. My name is Austin. I play in a band, and it's called Ghost Key. That's usually the way that people intro me. It sucks. I wish they wouldn't do that. Every time.
Is it like the spotlight of like he plays in a band, or do you feel like you don't want that identity, or I guess what part of that is like super not great?
I don't know. It's just weird. It's just like I do other things too.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, the idea that like he plays in a band, and it's like, well, now I'm band guy. Cool, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like now I'm band guy. But yeah, I play in a band called Ghost Key, and then I also stream on Twitch, and I also like bikes, and I also like Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that shirt. Yes, 100%.
And yeah, I like lots of things. I like technology and cameras.
Yeah, you're hungry for knowledge in so many facets of life that I see just via Twitter. It's cool.
So it's not great.
There's never enough time. Is the problem.
I end up spending too much money on like way too many hobbies that are all way too expensive.
God, that's the truth. That's the absolute truth. If I've ever heard it, I can't afford my hobbies anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I'm getting so much more into the more that I've been doing YouTube personally lately, the more I'm like, oh, but I can get a second camera and do these 6-second angles, and then
I'm like, well, I could get this lens, and maybe I want a gimbal, and like I don't even have any like content.
You're just like, I want it to have it.
Yeah. Like I haven't put out a video or anything, but I'm just like, but I will if I have a gimbal. So I'm like, trying to like relax and like just make do with what I got right now. But
So you are a Twitch broadcaster, and I feel like that's the thing that you kind of identify with more often than not, or that seems like that's kind of at the end of the day, that's what you love to go home and do, and the band is a great part of your life as well, but Twitch is the consistent thing that you're doing more often. I didn't know that I didn't know that you were in a band. I met you via Twitch, which is kind of, I'm sure, the opposite for some people.
For a lot of people, yeah.
What started you on Twitch? Like, because I see a trend of people that are in bands. We see like the tops, right? So we'll see, whatever rapper, but we also see like Brendan Urie and all these people that are streaming now. Like, so for you, what was the introduction to streaming from music?
It wasn't actually, had nothing to do with music.
Cool.
Which is why it's like weird, because you pointed out, there's like a bunch of people that are in bands that are now like moving to Twitch, which makes sense because like people who are in bands are naturally interested in entertaining people, so like Twitch makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't it for me at all. I was on apparently I've had my Twitch account since 2013, but I don't know why. I don't remember that. But like 2.5 years ago, my friend Sammy posted on Facebook that he got partnered on Twitch, and I was like, oh, I don't know what that is, but like my friend did a thing, like he's celebrating, that's cool, I'll click on it, and then like popped over and I watched for a little bit, and I was like, this is sick. Why don't I do this? And so like I asked him what I needed to do, and he kind of just gave me like a really short rundown, and then I was just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. And that's how I got into Twitch. Like, literally just because my friend got partnered, and I thought that what he was doing was cool.
Wow.
And then he got partnered, and then he quit streaming.
That also happens a lot.
Yeah.
That's a whole different day. But so when it comes to broadcasting, I guess I actually think, I don't know, there was something about the first time I came into your stream. I heard of you through, it was either through Chris or through Heart Support or just a weird combination of both. But when I came into your stream, I was kind of blown away by the inherent quality that you have, like, immediately. Obviously, like, the great camera, the way that you were doing the $5 footlong stuff, like the full, yeah, now you have to explain it, so good luck. You know, just the way that you, like, it's almost like you had it figured out in a lot of ways, which we know is we never have it figured out, right?
Right, yeah,
But I was very much blown away by not only the quality, but also, like, you and your welcoming personality. How long have you been going, like, in on Twitch and really making the investment to cultivate that community? And I guess how, because obviously your love for tech and that knowledge has helped you to, like, figure out how it all works pretty well and get it going. But in terms of, like, remaining a humble person, regardless of numbers and all that stuff, I would say your community is one of, like, the most, like, it's got this interesting duality of, like, trolly fun, but, like, it's also so, like, you're like, hey man, I appreciate you. You're a really good dude. Don't ever give up on life. And I'm just like, what is happening? So how did you come to cultivate the entire community?
I mean, it's cool that you point out quality, because I mean, I say it all the time, and they know just as well as I do that I'm, like, obsessed.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'll have to, like, bump up my. I have Comcast, and my community knows how I feel about this. But like, there'll be days where I'm like, oh, I probably should bump my bit rate down by, like, 500 KB, and it literally, like, crushes my soul because I know that there's, like, a slight quality loss that nobody will know except me. And like that just comes from, like, my love of technology. I'm obsessed with quality, and I'm obsessed with technology, and when I saw, like, huge broadcasters and what they could do, I was just like, I have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if nobody ever watches. Like, it has to look that good. I have no other option. And you are right. Like, I literally just, like, dived headfirst. I was just like, I'm gonna learn everything immediately, and just spent, like, hours and hours and hours. But honestly, at first, I wasn't streaming on Twitch, like, to build a community or anything, because I didn't understand that that's what it was.
Fair.
Like, I saw my friend playing. Yeah, exactly. Like, I saw my friend playing video games, and I was just like, yeah, like, I do that also.
Sick.
And it was, like, a cool way for a couple of my friends that I don't see all the time from the band or whatever, like, all across the country. They could pop in and, like, say what's up. But I was streaming PUBG for, like, 2 people for, like, 6 months. I don't even like PUBG.
Yo, I don't even go
like,
here.
Like, it's like, that game is fine. I don't play, but it was mostly just because at the time I was playing with a couple other friends that were in bands, and it was just, like, kind of funny, and, like, my 2 or 3 friends from around the country were just like, yeah, it's funny to watch you. We were called Meme Team 6.
Yeah.
And we just, like, did dumb stuff, like running cars into groups of people instead of, like, opting to actually fight them and stuff. And it was just dumb stuff like that. But and then I was like, oh, maybe I should, like, take this seriously, because it's, like, it's really fun when there's a couple people in here talking.
Okay.
And so then I realized that I had, like, a bunch of games that I wanted to play that weren't PUBG and Fortnite. And games that I would actually love and, like, enjoy playing, because I've always been a single player person at heart. Like, I grew up playing single player games, and my dad sort of passed on to me this, like, deep rooted hatred for multiplayer and having to, like, cooperate with other people.
Okay.
I'm, like, not a competitive person at all, so it just, like,
that's fair.
Multiplayer games don't do anything for me. Like, I win and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, there's not the grind to keep going back in. And...
Right, yeah. Like, I never feel compelled to, like, go back and do daily challenges or, like, earn more skins. This is not my thing.
Yeah.
And so I just, like, started scrolling through my backlog, and I was like, holy crap. Like, I have all these games I either haven't touched in, like, years, or these games that are coming out that I probably want to play. And I think the first story game I ever streamed was Psychonauts,
Oof.
um,
Okay.
which is one of my favorite games of all time. I love Double Fine. I love Tim Schafer.
Yep.
Um, and I was like, yeah, it came out on Steam. It got a remaster. I haven't played it since I was like probably 12, 13 years old. And literally as soon as I started streaming Psychonauts, I was like, hey, I think I'm going to do this like every Monday. And I'll be here at this time. So every Monday we'll play Psychonauts. Like almost immediately I jumped to like 6 viewers.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, there's like people here now. and I think part of it was like, one, I was posting like, I'm going to do this at the same time every Monday. But it was also like, I'm going to play this game that's actually interesting and that you don't have to be like good at for it to be fun.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because PUBG, I can't aim. Are you kidding?
God, no, I'm so bad.
Yeah, like I'm not good at shooters. They're fun, but I'm not good at them. And so like, what fun is it to watch me lose for 4 hours at a time?
Yeah.
But Psychonauts has a story, and like you follow along with the story, and like hopefully you fall in love with the characters the same way I did. And then I started realizing I think I was like, oh, I think this is my niche. Is like I want to share with people these characters that I've fallen in love with, and like make them understand why. And so I started playing like older games, stuff that I'd already played through Psychonauts, played through Ocarina of Time, played through Majora's Mask, just stuff like that. And then we started to branch out into like newer games, and from there it just like snowballed, and I started adding days. Like went from just every Monday to like Monday, Tuesday, and then it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then like somewhere along the line, like a year-ish ago, I ended up on 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Because I was just like enjoying it so much, and I was just like, whatever. I mean, I'm not doing anything else. If I don't stream 5 days a week, like I'm just watching YouTube videos. So
might as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then like, I don't know, man. I don't really watch my numbers. I know that's like a point of contention in the Twitch community. Like some people are like, don't ever look at your numbers, and then some people are like, you should watch your numbers. I don't, just because like it was never about that.
Right.
And I remember there being a period of time where I was like I would check and I'd be at like 12 average, and I was like, whoa, we're over 10. And then I was like, wait a second, I'm at like 30 viewers. What the hell?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Yeah.
And like that's like where I've been. Like I've been fluctuating and like going up and stuff. But like I always tell people, I don't care about the numbers. Like that doesn't matter to me, because people, I feel like Twitch pushes really hard on numbers. You know, they're like, get this many average viewers, and I'm just like, you have a name. Like you're not like an average. As cliche as that sounds, like you're not an average viewer to me. Like you're you're like my friend. Like I've met so many people through Twitch that I would have never met otherwise. Like even you and like Ashley, but a ton of my people in my community who I'm texting every day and stuff like that. Like would have never made those friends otherwise. So I think ultimately like the big draw for Twitch for me was just friendship, because otherwise I live in Chicago, and like it's big city and like all these people, but a lot of times it's like kind of isolating, and I live really far from all of the stuff. Like I don't live near downtown, and all my friends from work, they all live downtown, and so a lot of times I just sit in my apartment, and so I'm just like, oh, like I'm actually social now. I talk to people.
Yeah,
and
that's
super, super nice.
That's kind of the wildest part of Twitch, is just like it's like you grow up and your parents are like, don't talk to people on the internet, but like that's all we do now in a very strange way. It's like, it's the only friends I have. It's actually interesting that you started with this idea of like just playing games on the internet, because so many people now, especially in like today's age of like so many people want to work for themselves and become creators so that they can be their own bosses and whatever. So many people start out with this pursuit of like, I gotta grow, like I just started, and how do I grow and how do I get bigger, and that you just like ran with it for months at a time, being like, this is pretty cool. Like that was that was it. And then you were like, oh wait, hold on, when people show up it's a better time. And so your pursuit of people is like pursuit of friendship, pursuit of a good time, instead of pursuit of numerical value. It's always interesting that like so many people, myself included, when I went for partner pushes, is like you you like struggle to hit these metrics just to become like another metric for Twitch. Like, oh, we got this many thousand partners, but like they don't know who you are really, right? So it's such a weird cycle just to think about. It's really cool to hear your story, because I don't think I've ever really heard you talk about it too much. But so we're gonna dive a little bit. So deep breaths, everybody. But so I was invited out to the Heart Support Gala, which I think was in March. Yeah, your people. I believe it was in March. And there was a video that was shown about, it was an informational video, and I believe that it was, I don't know if it was I think it was based on a true story of a young girl who is...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she's considering suicide, and then she goes out to a concert one night, and she's like, this is going to be kind of like my last concert, kind of go out with a bang sort of thing, and she connects at the concert with people, and she feels kind of alive, and the next day she's alive, right, is the idea. But they showed a clip of one of your interviews that you did with Heart Support in the video. There's a video in video moment.
Yeah.
And I remember going and finding that video afterwards, and you talked a lot about in my perspective, the kind of the tangibility of life. And I remember like very poignantly you talked about kind of your own struggles, but like getting up every day and putting your feet on the ground and being like, okay, like we could do this, like got another day under our belt. Obviously the podcast here fixates a lot on mental health, and that's the thing we try to cultivate here. If you're willing, would you like to, I don't know, talk about any struggle that you've had with mental health, or just in any way, shape, or form? I'm going to give kind of an open forum for you to kind of just talk about you a little bit in that arena, if you're comfortable enough.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, it kind of comes back to what I've tried to cultivate. Like, it's very similar. It's, I think, why I was so drawn to your channel when I found it. We're very open as far as like mental health goes, and like we try to create a space not only for ourselves but for other people.
Yeah.
And that's like a natural extension for me, because our band is literally built around it. Like that's from the start. When they like asked me, what are you gonna write about, I was like, oh boy, let me tell you. And I like showed them everything that I had been working on, because like before we started the band, I wrote a little bit, but like I never really wanted to be a vocalist. It just like wasn't my thing. Didn't want to be in front of people, but I wrote a little bit. And so when it sort of got like forced on me, I was just like, well, I have this stuff that I wrote, and I like showed them, and they were like, oh, this is dark. And I was just like, yeah. So what do you think? And they were all in. They were just like, yeah, if this is what you want to write about, like we're super down, like we're super comfortable with this. And I was just like, cool. And so yeah, I mean, literally the first song we ever wrote is called Barriers. It is hidden deep within the bowels of the internet. It's like on Bandcamp, but it doesn't, like, most people don't know it exists. Like if you've heard our band because of Spotify or like come to a show, you definitely don't know that song exists. But the whole song is literally just about like breaking down the walls. It's like in the chorus or whatever you want to call it, is like break down these walls, break down the barriers. And it's talking about like me feeling comfortable, just opening up and like being able to talk about that stuff, because to go back to high school a little bit, I hung out with a lot of people that were super what's a good way to describe, I don't know, like kind of just like jock-ish,
that
dudes,
archetype,
you know,
of,
like like
no
super,
vulnerability, very like surface level.
Exactly. Super masculine, like I think great people at heart, and like they've matured a whole bunch since then, but you know, it's high school and everybody is who they are.
Right.
It just like I couldn't talk about that stuff with the small circle of friends I had. And I had a teacher who was my chorus teacher. I had him from the time I was 6th grade all the way until I graduated, and he was like the only one that I ever really talked about that stuff with. And so it was just like kind of bottled up, and That's why like I wrote that song, and then from there it was just like the floodgates, and I was just like, all right, so I'm gonna talk about like how I've thought about suicide, and I'm gonna talk about how my dad was found face up in a ditch, like drowning in his own vomit from alcoholism, and like literally just like the floodgates open, and I just started talking about everything,
Mm-hmm.
and from there, like mental health just became so important to me because like I realized finally for the first time that not only was I struggling, but there were like so many other people, people that I didn't know and had no connection with, and then they like started hearing me talk about this stuff and hearing our band talk about this stuff, and they were like, "Hey, me too, actually." And I was just like, "Holy shit!" Um, but yeah, I mean, like I've gone through really, really deep spells of depression since I was 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
I've had anxiety for as long as I can remember, all undiagnosed because I don't have health insurance. And,
Right.
it's actually, that's another thing I've written about and I've talked about a lot is sometimes like you feel ashamed because you are undiagnosed. And there's like that stigma that, well, if a doctor's never told you, then it can't, you can't be for sure. And it's just like, I understand why people say that, but also like you've never felt the way I felt.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know how I feel, and like I know what this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I mean I've been undiagnosed for a long time, but like I've dealt with panic attacks. One of the best examples I always give people is when they ask about panic attacks. My girlfriend and I went to want to say Christmas event. Yeah, it was a tree lighting in downtown Chicago. There was just like, I don't know, thousands of people. It's like downtown Chicago, they light the tree. It's like a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's in this plaza and there's so many people and you just like can't move. And I just like froze, literally shut down. And I was just like, we got to go. And she's like, all right, let's leave. And I was like, that's the thing. I can't move. And it was just like freaking out, And so stuff like that, it's really hard to explain to people that they want like a doctor's note that says like you're depressed, and I'm just like, I've wanted to die. I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Like I am depressed. It's tough, man. It's weird, but yeah, I like for me it's just anxiety and depression. Like it's been that way for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I found like better ways to deal with it. The band being like a huge part of it, just having an outlet. I tell people all the time that just literally it doesn't have to be forward facing like the band is. Like you don't have to be in front of people.
Yeah.
But to have something just to get it out there is like so huge. And I know that it's not easy for everybody. I know that I'm in a privileged position to like sort of fall into my outlet, but even like the pursuit of an outlet, trying to find that outlet can be like super freeing. And so that's a huge thing. And like Twitch is another extension of that. Like we talk about mental health on my channel all the time, and like I make it very clear to people that come in. I mean, I use terms of endearment all the time. Like I tell everybody I love them because like I do, and I make it clear. I'm like, hey, I'm not a therapist, and there are certain things that might be a little triggering for me that I don't like want to talk about that day.
Sure.
But like, if your day sucks and like you want to talk about it a little bit, like let's focus on you for a minute. That's fine. Because like I understand it's weird for people sometimes. They're like, oh, I don't want to be focused on. There's like 40 people here. Don't focus on me. But it's just like, why can't I give you 20 minutes? Like you guys give me 4 or 5 hours and 5 days a week. Like let me give you 15 or 20 minutes and like let's just talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely what drew me to you initially is the genuine nature of your behavior and how you speak to your community resonates with who I have come to be, because I definitely started off streaming the way we discussed earlier. I was in a bad spot in my life where I was blaming the world for my failures, running away from my anxiety and my bipolar disorder, and not actually solving any problems. I turned inward and actually become like very toxic to successful people and was like,
which blows my mind, by the way. I've heard you say this before where you're like, yeah, I was really toxic, and I was just like, what do you mean? What does that even look like?
Actually, I mean, like funny enough, so I knew Ashney before she kind of re-entered the streaming space. very briefly, and once she re-entered the streaming space, like we were, I don't know, the same level on Twitch for a while. She came out of nowhere, she blew up, and we'd worked together a little bit to do like some Twitter videos about growing on Twitch and like best practices and stuff like that. And then she just takes off like several months later, and I became a very bitter person because I wasn't looking at like all the hard work she was putting in, or I wasn't looking at like the things that really mattered. I was just like, the world somehow owed me something. And there's a saying that psychologists frequently use, that's your relationship with others oftentimes mirrors your relationship with yourself. And so I realized that I was becoming like so externally bitter, so frustrated with like everyone else succeeding, because I was ultimately frustrated with like who I was, and not that all the frustration I was putting out in the world was actually like me not coping appropriately. And so fast forward to the person I've become and everything, and I've taken a lot of steps to be like there's enough to go around and to cope with my own, because very much like you, like I don't have insurance, like I can't go to therapy, like I can't go get medication at all, right? So it's about very much the pursuit of figuring out what works for you, whether it's journaling, whether it's music or art, or like what brings you down off that ledge, what steps do you take. So it's cool to hear that like you were, I don't know if like I don't want to say like more aware, right? Because I don't know the full story, but you were aware enough to decide like how to like better yourself or put yourself in the best position to like get through it. And that doesn't mean that you're like good. Like I woke up last week and I was like, yeah, today would be like kind of cool if I died. Like that would be all, like.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't
I mean,
go
I still
away.
have those days for sure.
Yeah, like you kind of drink from that cup every now and then, whether you want to or not. So it's but it's cool to hear your story about how that, how you came to deal with all of that.
Funny story. I actually used to be a really angry person.
Same. I used to put my fist into walls. Yeah.
There are videos. I'll send them to you.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Behind the scenes.
There's videos of me like whipping skateboards and like screaming.
Yes.
Because I would never. I know that you skate as well. Actually, I remember we talked about that.
The skate rage is real.
Yeah, and so like I would never take it out on people, and I wouldn't really take it out on anything other than skateboarding. Because skateboarding was like the one place where I felt like it was like semi-acceptable.
Yeah, isn't that strange?
Because you like see it's sort of like you're mirroring the things that you see in like skate videos and like magazines, and it's just like, oh well, the pros, they get mad, so like I can get mad and nobody will think anything different. Skate culture. Yes. But yeah, I mean, dude, we would go to spots and like I would be there for 10 minutes and try a couple times. Like we're not talking I've tried for hours. It's like a couple times, and then I'd get that, I'm sure you know the feeling, like to just like pit in your chest. Yeah. And then it would go from completely normal to like picking up my board, smashing it against walls, throwing it in the air, punching it. Like I've got scars on my knuckles because
just like,
I would throw it and I would punch it, and sometimes it would spin around, and so I would just grind my knuckles down on grip tape. And so I've got like scars on my knuckles and stuff. And it's like so wild to think about that now, because I don't ever get angry about anything. Like people are always just like, you're like the most calm person I know, and I'm just like, yeah, I didn't used to be. But
yeah.
I mean, personal growth is real.
I think I identify with that on every level. It was very much like one in the skate culture, because that's where when I was diagnosed and all that, when it got really bad for me, I actually came to the realization that I had a problem because of skating. Because it very much was a small bad day, or just I couldn't land 3 kick flips, but yesterday I landed like all of them back to back. Like suddenly I suck. It was very much picking it up by the trucks and slamming it, or just like blunting the tail completely. And so that's when I personally first like started using aggression towards objects as a really inappropriate coping tool. So like later in life, as I started playing video games more and skating less, it was the controller was the new skateboard. So like I'm playing Rainbow Six and I'm getting like destroyed, and I'm like, okay, this controller's going right out this window, just whipping it. And I think that that's so common for men, for everybody, but for men in general to be angry, because it's such a I learned recently that it's kind of this secondary surface level emotion. It doesn't have a lot of complexity to it, so it's easy to elicit and just be mad.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just ooh, me mad, me yell, you know, whatever, me smash. Like it's so it's such like a Neanderthal reaction to it.
Yes, yeah, 100%. And that you telling that story very much like, yeah, I was not a good, but we both kind of come from that similar like ragey, except I just grew more internally toxic and then figured it out. And it seems like maybe you figured it out a little sooner than I did, but
now I just go skate and I like fall and smack my head on the ground and laugh about it, and I'm just like, I'm an idiot.
I tore up my elbow bad. Exactly. It's so different to not do it the way that I used to do it, skating, because like I completely like skinned my elbow skating, and I was like, oh man, that hurt real bad, and then just like kept going. So in terms of I guess in terms of like the mental health conversation, and to like circle it kind of back to Twitch, where did heart support enter your Twitch life, and how did you get involved with those guys?
Pre-Twitch, actually.
Really? Was it because of the band?
It was
or
because of the band. Yeah, okay. It was sort of like I feel like it's one of those things where if it wouldn't have happened when it did, it would have probably just happened eventually anyway.
Sure, of course.
It was totally just like a bunch of things on a certain day lined up. So I knew this guy, and not new, it's not really past tense, I still know him, but he had worked with them a little bit. Okay. And I knew him because he was friends with the guy that recorded every record we'd done since our EP. So both full lengths and our EP.
Okay.
And I had his phone number or something, and he texted me. We were playing this festival in Texas. It's called South by So What. He's like, hey, dude, I think you're at the fest. And I was just like, yeah, what's up? And he was just like, I'm also here, whatever. And so we like met up, and we're hanging out. And he goes, hey, man, like, you know, I don't want to pry too much, but, you know, I listen to you talk when you guys play, and I've listened to your music, and like I know sort of surface level like the things that you're about, and I work with these people sometimes. I like design their website. You should really like talk to them. I think that you guys would get along. And I was like, yeah, let me know, whatever. Like, and he texted me a few hours later. He's like, hey man, if you want to do like a video interview, they'd love to have you. And I was just like, sure, sounds good. And so like I went to one of the suites. South by So What used to be in a baseball stadium.
Yeah.
And so they have like all the press boxes would get rented out to people that were there for press for the fest. And so like we went up to one of the press boxes, and I think it was Dan and then a bunch of people I don't know, and then Sledge.
Yeah.
And I introduced myself or whatever, and they were just like, here's what we want to do. We want to talk about this is the first video I did. I've done 2 with them now. The one that you were talking about before, putting your feet on the floor, that's the second one.
Yep.
The first one is a video that we actually ended up shooting in our van, which was like a terrible idea. It was so gross, but it was talking a lot about our song 333, which I wrote about a friend of mine from high school who committed suicide, and sort of all the emotions that I was dealing with that, a lot of like anger towards him and like blaming him and stuff like that. But yeah, we did the interview, and they were like, you know, you don't have to go too far into it. Like, we don't know each other. If it makes you uncomfortable at any point, just let us know. And I was like, oh, I'm an open book. Like, let's go. Let's just go.
Yeah.
And did the interview, and like at the end, I just remember Dan being like, holy shit, man. He's like, I'm like crying behind the camera. And he's like wiping tears. And I was just like, yeah, I don't really hold back. It's not my thing. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm an open book. And from there, we became friends, and I like kind of stayed connected to the org and watched them grow. And right around the time that I started streaming on Twitch, they also started streaming on Twitch, and I was like, no way, what the hell, friendship. But it's been cool, man. It's been really cool to watch them kind of go from this org that was scraping by and like trying to do as much as they could to now they have like these all these programs that they can give to people for free, and like all these people have access to. Because when they were doing the videos, I remember that they had a small team, and like Jake was basically just throwing money at it and like
Yeah.
hoping that it worked.
Yeah.
And like thankfully it did. But yeah, I remember them saying they're just like, yeah, we're like definitely losing money being here and like renting all this gear and like shooting all these videos and flying on planes and like all this stuff. And like Jake is literally just pouring money into it and hoping it works. And like it did. And,
Yeah.
And now they are, I mean, they're everywhere. They're like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Some of the best people I've ever met. And I've told them time and time again, I'm just like, really don't understand like how much you've done for me. And they're just like, oh, you don't know how much you've done for us. And I'm just like, shut up. This is how much you've done for me.
Digest.
Listen.
Yeah.
But literally some of my favorite people in the world. And the best part is too, I always tell people, like, a lot of people come to me and they'll be like, heart support, it's religious. And I like have to explain. I'm just like, no, only if you want it to be. Like, first and foremost, those people are there to help you and like to point you in whatever direction you need to be pointed in. Like, they're not going to shove God down your throat. And I know that because I've been friends with them for so long, and I'm not an atheist by any means, but I'm definitely not like a Christian.
Yeah.
And never once have they just been like, yeah, but what about God, man? And it's always just been like, what do you need? What do you need from us? What can we help you with? It's so cool. Like, literally, just like I said, some of the best people.
Yeah, I very much share like that initial sentiment. Heart Support reached out to me, it was early last year, and I was just starting to delve into mental health, and I was like, sure, yeah. And I had definitely an issue with authority figures and a big issue with men that I had yet to work through. And so Dan approached me, and no matter what, Dan was always like super kind and super caring, but I saw like the religious undertones, and I was like, nope, gotta run from this. I'd had a lot of religious issues growing up, and
Same.
Dan never gave up on me. And so very much in the same, like Dan and the gala is the reason that I'm inadvertently, like in a sort of distant way, they're the reason I'm writing the book. The reason we focused our channel and pivoted so hard the way we did was because of the gala and because of the risk they took on like me as a person. So that story is kind of, I don't know, it's just cool to hear that they've been so dedicated and so passionate for so long, and they had an impact on you the way that they did. I mean, you have a track called Heart Support. I assume that's post meeting them. I would imagine, right, that those things don't line up like that. But
yeah, I actually had to fight for that song. Not lyrically or anything, but my band was just like, you know, it's not that they have anything against that organization. I mean, they're not tied to it the way that I am. Like,
sure,
they're very much
them that way.
Yeah, you know, I'm the one that always talks to them, and I'm the one that constantly stays in contact with them. But they were just like, you know, discoverability wise, like somebody goes searching for that song, like they might not. And I was just like, I don't care.
Sure.
Like, they've done a lot for me, and like I just want to be able to put their name on something that says thank you. And like in the end, they understood. It's not like they were dicks about it or anything, but they had
a little pushback,
concerns, and I was just like, just give me this one thing, and I'll never fight for anything again. I was like, this, it really does like mean that much. Just give me this one thing.
Yeah.
But the song is actually not about them. The song is
Sure.
about my relationship with my girlfriend and also her relationship with mental health. But it just like, I don't know. When I wrote the song and everything happened, I was just like, it just sort of ended up tying itself in a neat little bow, and like I just want to just put the you know, the last little bit on it is just, that's the title. Everything is perfect about that song. And I loved being able to just be like, hey, I did this, and like this is for you guys.
Yeah, it's such a cool, I don't know, man, like that's such a cool thing to be able to, it's like a good way to give back in an interesting way. And that song, to me, that's that's the Ghost Key track in an interesting way. So it's interesting to hear the band push back a little bit, like from an analytic standpoint, because
Yeah.
that one to me is just like, I was driving from Houston to Dallas for DreamHack, and was just like, I listened to that song for the first time in a little while, and it was just like really fighting tears. There's like this gorgeous like sunset. It's like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, come on, man, I just got an hour left. Like, so it's a good piece, regardless, you know, because everybody can take and retrofit a song to fit the scenarios that they go through and things. I think that's the best part. So
Yeah. I mean, dude, the video
is
was
intense.
it wasn't any of our idea. That was the director listening to the song and being like, this is the idea I had for it because this is what it means to me. And I was just like, oh boy, that's heavy. Yeah, do that. Definitely do that. Like, it was
The
just
theme
so
of
cool.
that's heavy is good.
Yeah, like, and it was just so cool because like, so often people come to you or come to me as the person in the band that writes the lyrics. They're always just like, this song means this to me, even though maybe that's not what you meant. But like, to have somebody who is creating content for the video be like, this song means this to me, and I want to make the video for it. I was just like, holy crap, dude. And we got the final cut back. I was just like, dude, this is perfect. This is literally more than I could have asked for.
Yeah. It is interesting because I'm sure, you do hear all the time like, oh, this song means so much to me, and you hear about like the interpretations, but to see somebody interpret it and then spit out a product, that's.
It was also wild to have somebody do that video and then send it back to me, and then me be like, yeah, I struggle with like body image. And so all of a sudden, like, this song now means something different to me.
Yeah.
Than when I wrote it. It's just like, oh wow, this makes it worse.
Yeah. Suddenly, like, now I have two mirrors. Yeah. I can't imagine. Yeah, that's got to be such a strange, like, kind of a fulfilling feeling though, to be able to like learn something about your content from someone else's reflection of it is. That's a weird way to phrase all of that, but you get what I'm saying. It's that music video is the Dark Souls of Ghost Key is what it is. So yeah. So I guess we're not quite done, but I guess for you and mental health and where's your and Twitch and the band, I guess, like where's your future lie? What are you projecting ahead to see? What I guess, what do you want more than like what's realistic, but what do you want out of the band, if you were to say the band and the channel, in terms of like your mission and kind of the message, and just, I don't know, because it feels like the more you do it, the more you're kind of not preaching, but like kind of allowing people a spot or a medium or a location on the internet or music that allows them to feel more vulnerable. Do you think that that's just going to continue to expand, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say preaching, because the amount of times that people, I don't know why people on the internet think that if they tag the band that like we're not gonna read it, but
you're too famous, man.
People say like really nasty things about me talking on stage, like they really can't.
Oh, I saw that recently. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a podcast. We'll get a little political.
Yeah,
whatever.
No. I mean, like, I'm a very opinionated person. Anybody from my channel will tell you that I'll never force my opinion on people, and I love having discussions about and it's not even just political, like whether it's social or political, if it's about mental health or just about anything. Like I try to arm myself with as many facts as possible, and I'm not always right, and I'm always happy to admit that I'm wrong, because I don't think you can grow as a person without being wrong.
Right.
Like,
of course.
You can't. Like, also, it's not fun to be right all, but like, for those that have never listened to my band or know about, like, I do talk a lot. When we play shows, it's very important to me that I say what's on my mind and I say what the songs mean, because number one, we yell. you don't know what I'm saying all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't. Like, no matter what people say, like, I understand every word. No, you don't. You're a liar. But like I do talk. I talk a lot, and like I say things that make people uncomfortable because I tell people that I've thought about killing myself, and I tell people that I've lost friends to suicide, and like that's pushed me to thinking about doing the same thing and stuff like that. And it makes people uncomfortable because they're just like, what the hell? Like, guy with the microphone just needs to keep yelling. Why is he talking about feelings?
Yeah.
And like where I come from, and like the music that I grew up listening to, primarily hardcore, is you have the opportunity to be on a stage and to say something. It's a lot like Twitch. You have the opportunity to be in front of people who are giving you their attention. Like, say something that matters. So
Yeah.
just do something that means something. Like, one of my favorite bands of all time is Stick to Your Guns. And that dude just doesn't hold back. He doesn't say a word that he doesn't absolutely 100% believe in. And the first time I saw that band, I was like, I need to do that. I need to be that.
Yes.
Because like, there's just, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to waste my time.
Right.
I don't want to waste my
Like
time
manufacturing
saying shit that doesn't matter.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's super easy for me to get on stage. Like, don't get me wrong, I do, but like, so I didn't even ask you, can I say cuss words?
Hell yeah. Yeah. Hell
I was
yeah.
like, I realized like a little bit ago I said shit, and I was like, can I say that?
No,
But
we mark it as explicit and we move on.
my point being is the reason I asked that is because like I get on stage and I say band guy stuff, you know, because it's fun. It's fun to provoke people, and you know, let's go motherfuckers, or whatever, you know, stuff like that. But
yeah.
But at the same time, I'm also just gonna like dump some truth on you, and I don't want to waste my time just standing up there yelling nonsense. Like, I want to say something that matters, and that pisses people off. That it really like, for whatever reason, I'll get tagged band tweets that people apparently think I don't read, because then I'll respond and they'll like delete it.
That's a whole culture.
It's
of people
so
right
wild,
there.
man. They're like, they'll like tag like, can't believe guy from @GhostKeyBand just bitches on stage the whole time, and then like I'm like, it's and I'm always nice. I'm never rude to those people.
I've seen that.
It just it's not gonna accomplish anything if I like snap back. So I'm usually just like, hey, I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it. I just want to spend my time saying things that mean a lot to me, and like, it's okay if it's not for you. And they'll just like delete it, and I'm like, you tagged me in the thing. Did you think I wasn't gonna read it?
Yeah.
It really pisses people off when you speak your mind. And I tell people in my channel all the time that they should speak their mind, because it does piss people off. And if you're speaking your mind and like that makes people uncomfortable, good, because it might be something they need to hear.
Yeah, I mean, uncomfortability like can come from so many spots, but when it's like suicide or mental health, it's or you know, whatever it may be, political stuff, it's so much, it's uncomfortable because usually it's either true, it's usually just true. It's usually where it comes from. Right. So I mean, and that's we talk about that, the mental health conversation is asking people to like look inside and like face some really dark shit. And so a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm good. Like, so when I get rated from a friend or something and I'm like, hey, we talk about suicide, they're like, yikes. And so I can only imagine like on band in front of, or in a band, like on stage in front of people, you know, talking about that kind of stuff. Or even recently, I believe the same, or was it your most recent set when you very briefly, I don't know if you want to recant this story or not, but it was right after it was in Alabama, the law was passed or in Arkansas or Alabama.
Oh, you're talking about one of the strangest days of my life.
Yeah, which is topical, but that being said, if you don't want to go into it.
No, 100%. I guess.
Here we go.
For those that don't know, my band played a show recently. It was like one of the first shows we played in like 8 months. And when I say, I guess I said something, I think that I had a dissociative episode from anxiety. I've never experienced anything like that, but I the way I explain it is I walked on the stage and I remember two very distinct moments that really didn't mean anything. It was like a wink from one of our guitarists and then a smile from our drummer. But other than that, I walked on the stage and I walked off. The like 30 minutes in between are completely gone.
Yeah.
And I was like watching videos of us playing, and I'm like, I don't remember saying any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, one of the things I said, I got on stage, it was like right after all the laws had passed about abortion, and we played a song that it's one of the last songs on our record, and it's about me being sexually assaulted and just the anger that came from that. And I always say something along the lines of that nobody is allowed to put their hands on you without your consent. You are in charge of your body, and nobody gets to tell you otherwise. And right before we played, I remember thinking that it's so bizarre that song is not only so relevant to me, but now to basically all women everywhere, because now people are trying to put their hands in women's uteruses.
Yeah.
Just like, and that's what I said. I was like, that your hands don't belong there. Your politics don't belong there. And I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable, but I was just like, but that's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that people didn't like that very much either.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's so much of like, oh man, like I've had this, I'm not going to dive too much into politics. You and I line up really well on this kind of stuff, but yeah, and that I remember seeing that and just thought it was a really poignant, appropriate thing to say, thing to do, because of the endemic issue of here in the United States of telling women what they can do with their bodies, and yeah, that's a whole other thing. So but also like from like a perspective of somebody who watches musicians, I'm like, yeah, like tell me more cool shit, because like I feel really empowered right now, man. Like so like when I saw your clip of that, yeah, I mean you're rallying the troops in an interesting sort of
right
way.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll hear people say like, well, yeah, but when bands do that, they're just speaking to the choir. One, not always, because especially like when you talk about sexual assault, like I don't know how involved you've been in the music scene in the past few years, but like it's an issue.
It's a huge
issue. An issue that it comes up all the time now.
Yeah.
And so even if I'm not speaking to the guy that may think it's okay to grab a woman's ass when she's crowd surfing or whatever, I might not be speaking directly to him, but like maybe I say something and something inside of him goes, oh shit, like I'm kind of uncomfortable. Is he talking about me?
Yeah, right, exactly.
And
you're
so
like the Jiminy Cricket conscience for
so bit. You're not always speaking to the choir, but even when you are, it's not always about anything more than what you said. Like you just want people to feel empowered. Like, I want you to get something more out of the show than just I saw a band play. It's like, if you can stand there and like hear me speak and feel good about yourself or feel empowered and feel stronger, like that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, because like I'm just like I'm like a person with problems just like everybody else, but like the fact that I'm able to do that for somebody is like I cherish that a ton. So
yeah,
it's really cool.
But
sometimes people hate it.
I think that's the good news, though, is that sometimes people hate it in a really weird way. Because, like, very much, and Ashley and I talked about this and bring this up all the time. For her, when she talks to people about, them growing and things like that, it's interesting. But it's if you take a stance on nothing, like, people don't really rally behind you. Like, you're just kind of a face in the crowd. So, like, having... Yeah, it's so easy to take a stance on nothing and just be like, like whatever, man. Like so like taking a stance on something means that people like really not only rally behind your music, but they're like, yo, that lead singer has fucking morals, and like I'm in whatever they put out. I don't even care. Like it's almost like it can go that far, and it does go that far a lot of the times. So I mean, and we see that with like The Rock is somebody that I do that with. Like, I don't generally even like The Rock in terms of, like, the movies he puts out. Like, I'm like, these are kind of, like, fun. They're all the same, right? They're like, he's just a big guy that does, like, funny things. But, like, because of, like, his moral compass, I'm like, you fucking kill him, though, man. Like, I got you, So it's just, you see that sort of, I know that happens to me personally. So it's cool. Like, the fact that people do oppose it just means that I think you're doing the thing. And it's also evidence that you're not like preaching to the choir, because like literally people are
Yeah,
upset
yeah,
by it, right?
100%. Yeah, it's pretty wild to like. I always think about it. It's just like what? It's weird to me that you're upset that I'm like talking about a thing that literally affects everybody. Like mental health is such a problem in this country right now. It's like in shambles. But like, I guess if you're mad about that, like go off, sis. I don't know. Like, whatever.
Go off, sis.
Like, whatever. And like I understand too. We've talked about this a lot as a band. I'm gonna alienate people, and I
you can't not
fully understand that. But I would soon rather alienate an audience that feels uncomfortable, talking about mental health and talking about suicide and talking about all this stuff, than you like what you said, just sort of not take a stance on anything.
Yeah, of course.
My band probably could be bigger, honestly, if I took a stance on nothing and was just kind of rode the line and like never really said anything too controversial. But like at the end of the day, that's just like not fulfilling for me to do that.
So lastly, and we'll do like a Q&A portion that's not recorded, but so like the last thing, we've talked a lot about, I feel very enriched by hearing a lot of your vulnerability, and I think that's the most important thing, is seeing figurehead individuals that we look up to, or that a lot of the times get put on pedestals, right? Like, oh, you're Twitter verified, you're, like whatever accolade people use to like invalidate themselves.
I told Ashley,
others.
I actually need clout because I get made fun of for having a check mark because I don't have enough followers. Yeah, it's I get it all the time. People are like, why are you even verified, bro? And I'm just like, look, I don't know. Like, I don't have a reason. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't ask for this. I just woke up one day and had it.
It's like the superpower.
My bad. But I will say, sometimes cool people will respond to me.
Yes, they do.
That's the cool thing. I'm just like, yeah, I got a little Twitter like from that famous comedian I like, or whatever.
Yeah, that could be,
I get that validation, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take that little bit of dopamine. Give me some of that.
Yeah.
But so many people put, because of, I don't know, if they really love Ghost Key, they're like, oh, Austin's just like on this pedestal. But I think that pedestal gets really cut off at the knees when you start talking, really opening up about like, hey, I like wanted to die. I still sometimes want to die. Like, I feel just like you, man. So when it comes to like vulnerability and kids, I don't know. Do you have any? And this is out of nowhere, so do your best. But do you have any like advice? Do you have any? We all say like it gets better, but I think that's true. I think that is good advice. But do you? I don't know. Do you have anything for people that are struggling or might be struggling?
Yeah, I mean, to touch on the pedestal thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't put people on pedestals.
People are people.
Don't. Like, and I don't say that like from my own. Like, don't put me on a pedestal. I've been disappointed. Like, I've met people that I've looked up to for a long time, and our band's been lucky enough to play shows with people that I've looked up to, and I've met them, and they've been awesome. But I've been really, really disappointed meeting people or even finding out things about people. Like to go back a little bit to the sexual assault thing. Like, there's so many musicians that I had put on a pedestal for such a long time, and then like I find out that they literally don't care about women. And it's just
that's
like
the number one.
It's just like, okay, like I get, this is just like where we're at. Like I just shouldn't do this anymore. And it's okay to like to look up to people, but like don't put them on a pedestal, because like you will get disappointed eventually. And also because they're just humans. Yeah, they are human beings and they're flawed. And like for you to make them anything more than that it's not a good road to go down. Nah. But leading into,
I think that applies to.
Yeah, and that's sort of where like my segue is. Vulnerability is important, and those people that you put on pedestals are, like I said, they're just people, and it's important to look at yourself the same way. Like, you are just a person, but you are probably more than likely 99.99% chance, loved by so many people, and like those people give a shit about you, and like they want to know that you're hurting. It's something that took a long time for me to understand, is that the people around you, they know that you're a human being, and they know that you're flawed, and they want to know that you're hurting. And like it's goddamn terrifying to tell people.
Yeah.
I mean, I still struggle with it. When I had my whole disassociative thing, I walked off stage and my first thought was, just forget about it. Don't tell anybody. Which like the irony of it was, is it was literally a show to benefit a mental health organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I was just like, I'm scared. Like I'm terrified of this. I've never experienced anything like this. I don't want to tell anybody, because if I tell somebody, that makes it real. But it is real, and you have to tell somebody. You have to talk about it. Because like I like I said before, I went all through high school and like junior high, not understanding what it meant for me to be 14 years old and want to die.
Yeah.
Like I convinced myself so long for that was just like normal.
Right.
It's just like, oh yeah, people are just assholes, and like they just push me around, and then that just makes me feel like killing myself. And that's like a natural reaction, right? Because I'm just a teenager, whatever.
Right.
But it's just, that's not normal. It's not normal to be 14 and want to die. And I was so terrified. Like, I'm so thankful that I wasn't able to go through with it. I'm so thankful that I had people sort of rally around me, even when they didn't know. But I know that a lot of people don't feel like they don't have that. But like the reality is, you probably do. You just gotta, sometimes you gotta look a little harder for it. And also, if those people aren't receptive, like, might be time to rethink that relationship.
Yeah.
Not, I try to be careful about this, because I've had people dump stuff on me before that I can't handle.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it can be a lot. Like, sometimes people, they just come to you and they don't think of it as disrespectful, but they think of it as like, you're a vulnerable person, I'm a vulnerable person.
Sure.
So I just want to open up to you. But like, sometimes I can't handle that. And so like, what I always tell people is, approach somebody, ask them, hey, I got a lot of heavy shit on my mind and I really need to talk to somebody about it. Yep. Can I give that to you? And like, sometimes they might say no. That doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to help you later, but you will find those people who are just like, nah, it's not my problem. And those are the people, you're done with it. Don't even waste your time. It's not worth it.
Yep. 100%.
It took me a long time to be able to stand up to people and like cut out toxic people, but oh boy, you will feel loads better when you learn. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really the best.
Those people have a way to make you, just by saying like, not my problem, it definitely makes you start internalizing it. And if you get that, one too many times, you stop giving anyone a chance to open up, and you stop talking to, and it's such an endemic issue. We see that in relationships. We see that with our like kids with parents in our community all the time. They're like, well, I brought it up once, I didn't feel right. My parents said I was, just hormonal, so I've never talked about it again. And it's so easy to shut down and internalize that and never want to like bring it back up. But vulnerability is it is true strength, and it's true courage. You're literally like, when you're vulnerable with somebody or with the world, like, I'm an open book, and it's the same with you. When you start talking about suicide, or like, I've attempted this or thought about this, people can use that against you, and you're just hoping that the world doesn't. You're really being like the strongest person in that scenario. And so yeah, it may take time to weed out people, whether it's it might be parents. It might be parents that you eventually have to cut out your life.
I know so many people that have had to go through that.
Mm-hmm. So but it's 100% worth it to not feel like some sort of freak, or to not feel. I mean, even if people can't handle it, right? Like, people try to put things on me, and I usually can. But if there's a day where I'm like, I got to take time to meet it. Like, I can't. But, soon. I think that when you find those people, like, those are your people, I think you start to feel just more normalized. So because we still live in a climate where murderers are called crazy people, and we see like mislabelings of mental health everywhere in shows, and oh, they had depression, or they had anxiety, or they had this, and they did all these horrible atrocities. And so we just like, oh, I'll just not talk about it, because when a lot of the times, even if you say like I have depression or I attempted suicide, it's like suddenly you're a sick person in a lot of people's eyes. Just so many weird things, but ultimately it takes a lot to be vulnerable and comfortable with yourself. And I think comfortability, just like happiness or any of that, like it comes and goes a little bit, but it starts with the people around you, I think, in a lot of cases. So I think that was like really, really solid. Austin, we're not quite done. We're just going to round out the podcast portion. But where
me for however long you need me.
Perfect. Where can people find you? I want you to plug yourself, and if our moderators in our Twitch chat could. Oh no, there's a shout out. Easy. But where can people find you from the podcast side of things?
Bless. Like I said, I'm a really opinionated person. I'm on Twitter a lot. Not always opinions. Sometimes just wholesome content, but
most of the
sometimes
time
I'm angry. Basically, what I'm saying is I like to use Twitter, and I like interacting with people. I try to push it as much as possible. I feel like Twitter is like, it's probably my favorite platform because it's so social.
Yeah.
It's so easy to have conversations and like learn about other people, and I've met tons of people. It's same as Twitch. Like I've met so many people that I'm friends with now, literally just because I responded to Twitter.
Yep.
Actually,
so
I
easy.
think technically Ashley.
Yeah. I think did I introduce you to her, or was it someone else?
Well, I think I like responded to like a couple of her tweets, and then I was like, oh, you know her, whoa, and then it was like a triangle where you were like, I know her, and I was like, well, I know you, and then you were like, well, now you know each other.
Yeah.
We haven't met yet, but we will.
It's gonna happen at TwitchCon. Yeah, we're gonna we'll have a few drinks. We'll have a dinner.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Those are like my three main platforms. I use all of those the most. They're all AOB. It's all the same thing. That name will follow me probably forever because I'm never getting rid of that verified Twitter account.
Yeah. Where can they find the band? Obviously, I could say it. That's not my job.
Yeah. It's just at Ghost Key Band on everything, Instagram and Twitter. And then we have Facebook too. It doesn't get used as much these days. Yeah, because it's Facebook. I run the Twitter, so like pretty much anytime anybody interacts with the Twitter, it's going to be interacting with me. That's where you get a little bit more of my crazier side.
Yeah.
I say some like wild stuff on there sometimes. I think the other day, because we're playing in Las Vegas in July, and I was just like, Las Vegas got added, or something like Las Vegas got added. We've never played here. I was gonna make a joke about gambling, but y'all fucking know I'm too broke for that or something. Like, I just use our band Twitter as like my comedy Twitter, and I think most of the time I'm the only one that thinks it's funny, but it's fine because I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, exactly. It's all that matters. Yeah, if you guys look up the band on Spotify, my personal recommendation is Silence or Heart Support are the two tracks.
Silence, really?
Love Silence. Yeah, the last like 30 seconds of Silence just hits me really hard.
I mean, I like that song a lot.
That song's great.
A lot of people are just like, yeah, that song's cool.
Yeah,
because it's like the first song on the record, and like I mean, I like that song because I think it sets up the whole record. But yeah, a lot of people are just like, no, that song's cool. Yeah,
it's I don't know. It speaks a lot to like my mental health in a really cool way. So I was like, yep, this is a cool one.
I mean, that's literally what it's supposed to be. It's me just saying, it's your boy. I got a lot of shit to say. Like,
it's your boy. Yeah,
that's literally what that song is about.
Yeah. It's a very empowering track if you sit down and really like give it some digestion, I think. And I think maybe that's what some people are missing. But
honestly, more than anything, I feel like if people are gonna listen to my band, please just look up the lyrics, because
Yeah,
that's
especially
like
if you're
really
not
what our
into
band is
metal.
about.
Yeah. If you're not into metal or you live a little bit outside of that genre, like looking at the lyrics, because my significant other's not really into metal per se, but like when I was like, here are the lyrics, it was just like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like it really
I've had a
starts
lot
to
of
hit.
people tell me they're like, oh, okay, it clicked once I read the lyrics. Like I don't like your music, but I like it now that I read the lyrics. And,
Yeah.
and that's huge. I mean, that's not only is it cool because you're identifying with something that I wrote, but also I might be kind of nudging you into like a style of music that's meant a lot to me. Yeah. So because we're not the only band that writes about this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's cool. So yeah, please just read the lyrics. Even if you hate the music, just read the lyrics.
Yeah, just read the lyrics. That's all. Yeah, just read it.
You could literally never listen to a single
slam
song.
Poetry style. Yeah. Austin, thank you for being with us for the podcast, man. It's good to have you. We're gonna have to do this again.
I'm available whenever you need.
Yeah, man. We need to do more stuff together. Is really.
I'm like okay at rambling, so.
No, you're great at it. I mean, so am I. We're a power couple when it comes to just spouting shit all day. So.
I like go in circles. I'm like, where am I going with this?
Yeah.
I need to make a point.
Yeah, man. Oh god. Yeah, I start that all the time. Like I make such an effort now to remember the point so I can like circle back to it eventually.
It's so funny though because it's such streamer brain, but I've had it before I was a streamer.
Yeah, you just fit perfectly in the mold.
Yeah,
is all it is.
Like there's all the time they'll like say something in chat and I'll read it, and then they'll try to make another point about that same statement 5 minutes later. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And like the other thing I said, and I'm just like, I'm doing my best here. I don't.
Yeah, go on. Yeah. Austin, thank you. This has been episode 3 of the Mental Health Mondays interview edition. If you guys like this, you can find us on Spotify. You can also find this on YouTube. This will go up. Initially, this is going to go up on Patreon. So if you guys head on over to patreon.com/DyllonKG, you'll be able to get it there like a week early. Any of these interviews, about a week or more. Some of them, we backlog a bunch of them, and you won't see them for several weeks. So head on over there if you guys want to see those. When it goes public, though, it will be on Spotify, and I'll repost it for you guys. But if you want to support on the Patreon, keep the lights going, keep the production happening. It means a lot. Of course, this has been episode 3, and we will see you guys next time. Remember to be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself, and remember that you're loved.
Bye.